We have a quorum. I imagine Brody will join us virtually here soon. Mike Jackson will be the chair tonight, and Mike, just for the purpose of roll call, I wanted to bring to your attention that we have a new tree board member, Charles Edmondson.
Great. Hey.
I wonder if this is, Brody, is this you by any chance in the attendees? I've allowed you to unmute.
Yes, this is Brody. Can you hear me?
Yeah, let me,
Hey, Brody.
well, I'll just keep
Good
you.
evening.
Good evening. I'm going to keep you allowed to unmute because I can't seem to figure out how to move you to panelist, but glad to know that's you.
Okay, roll call. Jim? Jim Sedor. Mike Jackson.
Brian Coughlin?
Melissa Joneswood, see Tanya's hand is up.
Tony's hands up. Okay,
Ronnie's here.
and Charles here,
And we've got Brody Stace
and
here.
Brody's here.
Brody Koval here.
Any changes to the agenda?
Not from me.
Okay, we finally caught up on the minutes. I think it'd be best to go down these one at a time. As for approval of the December 9th, 2024 tree board minutes.
So approved. I move that we accept the minutes of the December 9th board
Second.
meeting.
Okay, it's been, so that's, they've been approved.
Do you want to do it?
Seconded to approve.
Moved and seconded. Any, or
Oh, okay.
all in order or all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, the next one is February 10th, 2025, tree board minutes.
I move we accept the minutes as published.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded on the February 10th. Are there any other comments on it? Okay, it's been moved and seconded and approved on February 10th. March 10th, tree board minutes.
I move we accept the March 10th tree board minutes.
Second.
Brody, second. Any comments? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the March 10th, 2025 tree board minutes. Next one is April 14th, 2025 tree board minutes.
I move we accept the April 14th, 2025 tree board minutes.
Second.
Okay. Been moved and seconded to approve the April 14th, 2025 tree board minutes. Any comments? Okay, it's hereby approved. September 9th, 2025 tree board minutes.
I move we accept the September 9th, 2025 tree board minutes.
I think Tanya's raised her hand,
Okay,
but she doesn't have a microphone, so,
okay, it's been moved and seconded by Tanya then. So the September 9th, 2025 tree board minutes have been approved and seconded. Any comments?
if I can just bring attention to the difference in format between the September minutes and the previous ones. We don't have a consultant to assist with minutes anymore, so the minutes will continue to be in the format of the September 9th minutes, which is where the city is moving for all of our minutes to not be verbatim minutes, but be action minutes.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I
it'll
will be-
simpler.
doing the minutes now, and they'll be simpler. Correct, everyone.
Yeah. No.
Next item on the agenda is the tree board member report. I don't hear any.
Be a great opportunity, I think, for everyone to meet Charles.
Charles,
Uh,
introduce
should I-
himself.
Yeah. Yeah,
Should I
Charles
say
could
something?
introduce. Yeah, please
So,
do.
yeah, my name is Charles Edmondson. I've been living in Tumwater for about 4 years. Thank you for having me. I work down in Lewis County as the Noxious Weed Control Program Coordinator down there. I don't have too much of a direct forestry background, but I do have a lot of background with plants in various contexts, and I'm pretty excited to be able to participate in the community here in Tumwater and figure out how we can kind of all work together for the betterment of the local ecology and especially the urban forestry. So again, thank you for having me. Not quite sure what else to say, so I guess I'll go ahead and leave it there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
If I could just ask Charles, could you tell us a little bit about your interest and expertise? Training?
Yes. So let's see. My interest. I moved here roughly, like I said, roughly 4 years ago, and I certainly have an interest in the local area and its ecology. And I have some background with trees. I've worked in various parks and that kind of thing around the American West. So I spent a season in Yosemite working with a giant sequoia there. And in general, I've just kind of fallen in love with Washington State, and I want to see the local area and learn more about it with its especially dense tree cover around here in the area. I've worked with plants and rangeland management and native plant nurseries. I've done various different kinds of, like I said, invasive plant work and that kind of thing. So I'm just kind of curious to see how the board works overall and to learn more about what's possible, and hope to contribute well in that regard.
Great. I'd just like to say, Jim Sedor, that we're trying to expand the perceived scope of the tree board so that we're not just talking about trees and tree canopy, but understory and vegetation management, and native vegetation management. So it's great to have someone on the board that has more background than primarily trees, with perhaps an emphasis on the understory. So welcome, Charles. It's great to have you.
Thank you very much.
You're
Yeah, and I'm happy to be here. What was that?
No, you're currently working in Lewis County then,
Yes, sir.
Porter County? Okay.
The Noxious Weed Board,
What's that?
for the Lewis County Noxious Weed Board.
Yeah, but he's currently in there. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
He's in the manager's report.
Okay, and I can provide that. We already talked about the new member. Welcome, Charles. I know you all ask for at least 4 updates on specific things each time, so I'm here prepared with those. So for the climate element, the first public hearing for the entire comprehensive plan is actually happening right now in the room that we normally meet in with the Planning Commission. December 9th will be a joint Planning Commission and City Council meeting, and then adoption for the entire comprehensive plan is scheduled for December 16th at the council meeting. My understanding is that we have 3 Davis Meeker Gary Oak saplings left, and 2 people kind of waiting in the we're waiting for them to respond back about scheduling to distribute those. In terms of the Davis Meeker Gary Oak, the old big one, not the saplings, we are working with Todd Prager and Associates along with our archaeologists to develop a multi-year work plan. We look forward to updating the City Council and Tree Board in January, hopefully with that detailed work spec.
With the storm last week or 2 weeks ago, was there any consequence on that impact on that tree?
Not that I've heard, no.
Not at all. I went down and checked it out a few times. Been just fine.
And then the last update that you all normally ask for is the tree code. Staff has begun working internally. It's different staff now, so they're reading through all the historical documents, getting the scope and all of that in order, and hopefully they have a calendar on when we can expect to, as tree board, be involved in that process. It is my understanding that it's their intention for 2026 to not only work on the 16.08, the Tree and Vegetation Protection Ordinance, but to resume work on all three. So Tree and Vegetation Protection Ordinance, Landscape Ordinance, and Street Tree.
So it's 1224, 1608, and 1847,
0.47?
yeah, so.
So the calendar, that's the last thing on our agenda.
We will be talking about what to put in there and
Okay.
what to expect. I tried to get some dates out of folks today. They're not ready. Do you have
Be
anything to share that I didn't?
No, great job.
All right, manager's report, done.
Okay.
We have no members of the public here present, and the only attendee is Brody for public comment.
Do we receive public comment between meetings that the board should be aware of? I assume we do,
I mean,
but I don't know.
I get emails that are related to trees. So
I get
Brian,
lots of questions, and honestly, I encourage people to come to these and speak and write to the tree board or whatever, all the time, so I don't know how to answer that.
our last meeting, we did have a person who did have public comment. I know it happens few and far between, but the instructions on how to provide public comment, it's not just the tree board that doesn't often get them. Brody once showed up to a planning commission meeting and he was the only person there. Other than the planning commission, it's quite common, unless something is frustrating to the public, such as the earlier stuff with the Meeker Oak, we don't normally get a lot of people.
Is there do you two, as the staff, have any sort of guidelines as to what public comment that you receive that you bring to the board?
Normally, people will note that it's a comment for the meeting. There's instructions in the meeting agenda on how to provide public comment, what date and time in which to provide it, and who to provide it to. So if I do get anything that says anything related to a tree board meeting or public comment, I will bring that to you, but it really doesn't happen often.
So unless the comment says from the public, I want this brought to the tree board, then you don't bring the 27 public comment emails that you get in a week to the tree board.
If they're directed to me and not the tree board and about trees, I consider that not public comment. If they are referring to public comment or the tree board in the email or a tree board meeting, then I will relay it. And there are definitely emails that are directed to me where they also ask, please share this with the tree board, and then I do.
I'm wondering if the tree board would benefit from knowing the type of public comments you're getting, just as an indication of the concerns of the community that the tree board needs to know about, even though not specifically directed to the tree board.
Let me answer that.
Sure.
Sidewalks. I spend so much of my time talking to people about sidewalks. So,
Lifting from tree roots.
and we're exploring lots of different options. We even have a few pilot programs we're gonna start testing, we're just getting final approvals on. We've contacted various contractors and various different things, you know, we're working very hard to address this situation, but I would say be the number one complaint.
And that's more related to, like, they want a permit or they want to know how to go through the process of getting that. Does the city pay for the sidewalk? What happens with the tree? Can they put the tree back? Can they wheel a tree out instead of planting a tree?
Yeah,
Like, all sorts of interesting
fascinating,
questions.
yeah, so.
I frequently walk through Mariset, which about 5 years ago removed about 40 ash and maple trees that had lifted sidewalks. They removed the trees, they replaced the sidewalks, and I believe the homeowners association chose to replant maples where the maples had been removed because they raised the sidewalks. Seemed to be a disconnect there.
I agree.
That, I don't know how we could influence the homeowners to make better choices, particularly where we know there's a problem or has been.
Now Brian is reviewing all of those applications to remove and replace trees, and he is making recommendations in line with our approved street tree list and working with the homeowners associations or the neighboring properties to
And
try
that,
to make good
yeah,
selections.
that, and I'm also making sure I'm on site when these plantings are happening, because oftentimes it's not the maple's fault, it's the way it was planted, or if there's no root barrier installed. Too many times are we removing these stumps and these trees, and they still have wire baskets on them. They never removed, I'm sorry, I lost my voice, but nevertheless, they never removed the compacted clay soil, and that just turns into like concrete. The roots have to go up, they can't go down. So, or the hole wasn't properly prepped and there's compacted soil everywhere. So just educating the public on proper tree planting practices. A lot of people don't know how to properly plant a tree. And you talk to them about it, like, oh, I'd never even thought of that. So it's a multi-layered problem we have, and, you know, we're addressing it one HOA at a time. I was in HOA this morning. I have another HOA meeting Wednesday. We have 108 HOAs in the city. So, you know, it's gonna, job security. So that is the number one complaint so far.
Thank you.
Since we're generally talking about this subject, you know, one of the things you might bring up to the HOAs is the comment that Jim brought up a long time ago where, you know, the apartments and some of the park areas are used to get rid of the dog manure.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, you know, when you try to save trees and you've saved them, and then they only use them to dump. I mean, and this is going on for like years. You don't want to walk in there.
Changes the pH of the soil.
Or it changes my shoes too. I mean, especially when you walk for a while and you don't realize where you're walking. Which I wasn't looking down because I'm always looking up at the trees. But anyway, it's, you know, HOAs have got that problem.
Absolutely.
We do have a pet waste bin program where homeowners associations can request a free bin and bags from the city, from our stormwater program,
And we supply them.
and we
Good.
supply them.
Yeah.
They have to then resupply the bags and make sure that whatever waste bin is associated with that is emptied. That's their responsibility.
Well, it's good. I mean, to have those kinds of things and be serious about the matter.
Yeah, and it's something that we work with our stormwater department on, because it's also a stormwater issue, right? It's contamination.
Yeah.
We can't have that, we can't have that running off into the right of way or in our drainage ditches or infiltration ponds or stuff like that. So, you know, it's something that multiple departments are aware of and addressing. So,
We've had unfortunate instances in which we've had to fill many a truck bed with piles, mountains of dog poop bags that people have, even though we've given them the stations, they have not responsibly dealt with the waste, and then we've had to literal truckloads of
it's terrible.
dog waste had to deal with.
Good, it's already talked about.
Makes our coworkers smell great.
Yeah. Well, the next item on the agenda is the Urban Forestry Management Plan Action Report.
Yeah, so that is the meat and potatoes of that big document. And unless there were specific questions, I was just gonna walk through the breadth of the document, highlight a few things and kind of talk about them. But we can start with if anybody had any specific action they wanted to talk about from the Urban Forest Management Plan. So I went through, and every single action, I gave an update on where we are, if we've accomplished it, if it's ongoing, if we've addressed it. I can't speak to all of them, but I can speak to about 90% of them. About 10% of them I had to ask for some help on, so I wasn't sure how to answer, and I don't think I'm the right person to necessarily answer those ones. So, does anybody have any they'd like to talk about to begin with? Start online real quick. Charles, do you have any that you read through or anything like that?
I have only briefly looked through it. I'm interested to learn more about it, but I don't have anything specific to focus on yet.
Okay. Brody, do you have any that you'd like to talk about to begin with?
No, it looked very comprehensive and I appreciate the effort that went into it. No questions.
Thank you. Yeah, it took me a while, so, okay.
And I have Tanya, her mic isn't working, so I am frequently refreshing my email to see if she is sending any comments.
Okay. Tanya, if you have any that you'd like to, just shoot us a message and we can flip to that and, we can talk about it. Thank you for your patience, Jim. Sorry, I just, wanted to give voice to those that aren't in the room with us first. So, did you have a few that you highlighted?
I have a lot, but.
Oh, my goodness, okay.
But some of them are go through the report, but to start with, it would help me again if you can clarify how we differentiate between the community forest and the urban forest. I think in your definition here,
Where are you in there?
It's commonly called the community and urban forest
yes,
as one.
page 30,
Well, the page numbers are different, so are you,
executive summary,
oh, executive summary, okay, thank you. I got,
first sentence, under grow. Grow canopy expansion targets have been established with an emphasis on planting large canopy and native species, which that's great. I don't remember the specific reference to native species to maximize ecological and community benefits. Wait, it's not there. Somewhere in this, let's see, what have I got?
well, if you'd like to
47.
know the difference between urban and
Yeah.
community forest
Yes.
is, the urban forest is everything, it's comprehensive.
Right.
Whereas the community forest is gonna be more in our parks or in our city-owned properties, at areas that are access to the community as a whole, not necessarily on private property.
So private property is not part of the community forest.
It
It
is,
It is.
but, we have to differentiate between the two. So,
Okay.
The urban and community forest is the entire canopy in the city. They're not two separate things.
Public and private.
It is together. The urban and community forest is the forest of Tumwater, the forest in Tumwater, is my understanding from the
Okay.
urban forestry management plan. They're not two separate
Oh,
things,
okay.
but they're one thing combined.
Okay.
Community forest in an urban setting, urban and community forest.
okay, I didn't realize it was defined in the urban forest management.
Maybe
That's my understanding.
maybe it's creating more confusion using both terms.
Okay, that's
But,
fair enough.
Can we differentiate, what is the term for, private property that is in the urban forest is everything within the urban growth area, is my understanding. Is that correct?
Urban and community forest is everything within
Okay.
the urban growth area.
The city and the tree board is responsible for the public property forest. Is that correct?
We are,
Yes and no.
yes and no, because we do have programs forthcoming for planting on private property. The Arbor Day celebration, for instance, is generally planting on private property.
We don't do that, but we
We
provide those.
provide the plants, yes.
And then also, I helped all the design review for private property, for new developments, new businesses, or redevelopments, or anything like that. So we have influence, but we don't manage it.
Okay, so what is the term for the property within the urban forest management plan that the city does not have responsibility for,
Private property.
private property? So is it, and there are private forests on private property in the urban forest management plan, in Tumwater's urban forest management?
One or two.
Yeah.
Okay, and if I have a dozen trees in my private backyard, that's part of the urban forest management plan in terms of canopy, correct?
Yes, part of the
But-
urban and community.
And the city has prohibited the planting of some species on my private land, is that correct?
Noxious weeds, prohibited, there is a prohibited trees list.
Yes, so I can't plant weeping willow on my private land.
I think that's only for the right of way.
There's a prohibited.
Oh, in general there is?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I thought it was only for the right of way.
We have the approved trees for the right of way, and we have a prohibited species list,
I thought the prohibited species list was also only for the right of way.
because it's mostly, noxious weeds.
Oh, they're not, okay, identified noxious weeds.
Have we changed where this list is? We can find it now yet? I remember we couldn't find the trees
Not permitted,
Tree species not,
in the public right of ways.
not permitted without approval, Director of Public Works.
Prohibited trees.
Are we talking about
on-
the literal noxious weed list, or are we talking about a separate list maintained by the Tumwater City?
We have a list of prohibited trees, which is created by the staff and the tree board, correct?
there's also an additional list of prohibited trees in the Director's Design and Erosion Control Manual, and the separate list of noxious weeds, also.
Noxious weeds is not the responsibility of the tree board.
There is one action in the Urban Forestry Management Plan related to noxious weeds.
But the list of identifying what those species are is not the responsibility of the tree board, correct?
No, actually, the identification of any species is not the responsibility of the tree board.
Okay. So we have, the tree board's responsible for
Advising council,
advising council. The city, okay, I'm just trying to, I guess that's in the code. We'll be working more, again, reviewing that in the code as to defining the city's responsibility for plants on private land versus the city's responsibility for plants on public
I
land.
would say we have oversight of the plants on private land, some level of oversight, depending on if there's a change on the property, really if there's a change on the
And
property.
removal.
Yeah.
Yes,
Removal of
change.
trees.
Yeah.
Okay, I just, when I read, every time I read community forest, I think, oh, this must be something different than the public. Okay,
The collective forest of Tumwater.
again, I would suggest that if we don't already, we have a definitions page
Okay.
in the urban forest management plan.
Oh, in the urban forest, okay, for the next edition, or next update, that's very reasonable. Yeah, are you looking up, there's definitions?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm.
There's- Oh, there, that took a minute. So we have a few definitions, but not a
The
definition
term
section.
community and urban forest is defined by RCW. Revised
Oh,
Code of
okay.
Washington,
Yeah.
76.15.010.
So we're using it because it's in the RCW.
Yeah.
Again, it's a long, confusing definition in my opinion.
Well, that's what we have to go with. I don't really know if we can, because it's an RCW, thank you. I didn't realize that was even in there. I don't necessarily know how much flexibility we even have for that then.
Right. It might be helpful in the urban forest management plan, of course, to reference this, which we,
This is the
Yeah.
urban forest management plan.
yeah, and then perhaps to clarify, simplify that definition, or interpret it the way you are interpreting it.
I mean, yeah, we kind of, looks like we do that in 1.02. Right there, the benefits and value of the community and urban forest.
Yeah, it gets into the public or private, planted or unplanted, unused, transportation corridors. It's a long definition, but it's exhaustive.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So you have quite a big list there, and that was just number one. So, let's move along to number two then.
Expanding canopy. When I see development, like is going on here at the corner of Little Rock and Israel,
Yeah.
we're removing canopy on private land. We're specifying replanting programs or requirements. Of course, the immediate impact of the immediate development is a loss of canopy. And my assumption is that the replanting requirements will over 20 years represent an increase in the canopy that will be some percent of the pre-development canopy that was there. However, it results in a net loss of canopy in that plot of land.
Absolutely.
And our efforts are to expand the canopy. So we, as we develop these properties, we have a net loss of canopy on these properties. What is the mechanism for to expand the total capacity, the canopy, when these developments are resulting in a net loss of canopy?
And that comes through a lot of different avenues. So, for example, I've inventoried a lot of, not 100%, but I would comfortably say 60 to 70% of properties owned by the city. These are undevelopable properties. And undevelopable properties.
They will never be developed.
I don't believe there's any plans to develop any of these. I've cross-referenced all of these. They can't be developed for the most part.
Are they set-asides?
They're well sites, they're where we have lift stations, they're properties
Some of them are
right away.
wet
Yeah.
areas.
Stuff like that, and a lot of them could use a lot more trees. We're already starting to plant those. I've ordered our first seedling order, a few hundred trees. I'm starting relatively small, and I'm gonna be planting this winter. As well as we're gonna be, we got our grant approved. We're gonna be getting it's so early in the process, I almost don't even feel comfortable talking about it, but we're going to be going out to the community to help try to get more trees in front yards. We're gonna be, any place we can find a tree, we'll make sure we'll do everything we can to find the right tree for that right place. So
in order to expand the canopy, at the same time we're developing undeveloped property, we anticipate planting sites that currently are not canopied,
yeah,
so that the net is a gain.
that is the ultimate goal. So that number is probably gonna go down before it goes up again. Again, these are generational decisions. That number of trees we have in the ground that aren't registering for canopy right now is pretty high. You know, we have a lot of trees that have only been in the ground for less than 10 years. So in 5, 10 more years, when we get the canopy assessment again, those numbers are gonna be different again. In 5 or 10 years, you know, most of our urban forest is less than 25 years old. We just need to give the trees a chance to grow up. And so with that, and planting these areas that we don't have trees that could use trees, and then reaching out to the community to help get trees that, for people that maybe don't know what trees to plant, don't have the access to do it, or anything like that, you know, hopefully all those small boxes will hopefully make one bigger box. If that makes sense.
And it's my understanding that the city has no control over how much land is developed.
We do through zoning, what kind of development goes onto a property. And we don't generally change that zoning because it could classify as a taking if someone had an intention to develop it as one thing, and then we determine that we don't want that there anymore. That could be a taking, we don't want to do that. There are lands, and I think this was inventoried as part of the comprehensive plan, that are undevelopable. That's slopes that just aren't ever gonna work for that, wetlands that do not welcome development, they shouldn't. But when it comes to someone's private property, besides zoning and them needing to meet code, we cannot say no.
At the timing, we for example, because we're so far behind on our canopy,
We're not far behind.
we cannot develop this property because the net loss in canopy is not recoverable in the next 20 years.
I don't think we'll ever be in a position like that, and if we were, that a lot of other bad things had happened before. So that is in a very extreme example, and I don't foresee Tumwater ever being in a position like that.
We have state mandated growth that we need to meet also.
Mm-hmm.
The intention of having a more dense urban area is so that the rural areas don't become sprawl. So we would rather people within the confines of the Growth Management Act, it is preferred for us to develop within the boundaries of the urban growth area rather than sprawl out everywhere. So while we do have forested areas, treed areas of the city, if that's owned by private property and they want, private property owners and they want to develop it to what the zoning code will allow, we can't get in the way of that.
Yeah, I mean, it is private property and they are allowed to develop it. Now we can exercise certain things and make sure certain things happen, but, you know, if the developer buys property and wants to develop it, they're right.
So it's gonna be very challenging to expand the canopy tumwater during this rapid development
Yeah.
phase of our history.
But the only thing we can do is set ourselves up for a position of success, and that's where my job comes in, and that's why we're expanding these programs. Again, I've ordered several hundred seedlings, and we're going to be doing all we can to get more trees in the ground, because the best time, right? I remember who said, I think John Muir, best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago.
Luther did.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. Best time
is today.
is exactly. So the goal is just to plant trees and plant them responsibly. You know, make sure people are aware how to care for them. Make sure people are aware we're planting trees in places on undevelopable properties, the right trees that can sustain that kind of environment. And for other trees, make sure there's understanding of maintenance and needs that are being addressed. So
One of the challenges I see with the city's zoning, I guess, planning commission, is that we are now creating developments where properties are so small that there's virtually no room for a native tree on a private backyard or front yard.
challenge.
And I'm thinking of Miraset, or Skyview, which I walk almost every day. Here was a farm, 120-acre farm that was native trees, pastured. So they had mature hemlock, Douglas fir.
Probably beautiful.
It was. It's been developed, and this private property now has roads and houses, small lots, with trees along the road, which I believe are now the city's responsibility. Okay, this is, the city, the roads are public roads, and the sidewalks are public sidewalks.
Oh, the home adjacent property owner is responsible for the sidewalk and the tree.
Okay, in the parkway between the curb and the sidewalk, that's the responsibility of the property owner.
Mhm.
And the rest of the lot is so small that there's virtually no space for a tree. But they have a large water retention area that has been planted with a lot of native trees around the edge, a lot of large canopy native trees,
Yeah.
which none of them were left, unfortunately, which were
Wasn't there a small tree tract
Which are-
by,
in the southwest corner. I don't even know if that's in the development, because I think it's outside the development. But it's an example of a place where there were mature native trees, where they could have retained some in the park area, or they could have retained some in the water retention area, perhaps, I wish. And the lots, in terms of canopy cover, it was total canopy. Now, because of the lot size, there's going to be 50% or more of the space that is not going to be canopied, because the lots are too small to support trees.
Yes and no. I mean, support a big leaf maple? No. But maybe support a ginkgo or a dogwood? Maybe. Vine maple? We can still get stuff in the ground that can help us. And that's the goal. So,
I live in Tumwater on a very small lot, and I am very grateful for my backyard neighbor's large Pacific dogwood that provides me shade,
Mhm.
but isn't my tree. So some of them are
And couldn't be
developed.
grown in your, probably wouldn't
No.
survive on your lot.
No.
And I just wonder if the zoning guidelines are thinking about the environmental issues when we zoned such high densities that cannot meet the goals for our canopy.
They are thinking
Guidelines.
about balance and
Yeah.
meeting state requirements that are mandated, and there's stronger state requirements for density and number of housing units than there are top-down pressure for canopy retention.
And that would be a great concern to bring up with the planning commission. So,
And with the tree code work.
yeah, and the tree code work, which we're obviously, undertaking and updating. But, I mean, to answer your question,
Brody has a question.
Brody,
Hi, this has been a really interesting tangent. And on the topic, Brian, of undevelopable properties owned by the city, I'm curious if there's been any look at undevelopable rights of way the city owns in sort of abandoned alleyway systems.
yeah, I don't know how to answer that, Brody. That's a great question. I don't necessarily know if we have anything like that. My focus has been so on these just giant parcels that the city has that for my first year, I'm kind of trying to paint with broad strokes to answer the question a little bit more specifically. But I'll make a note of that because I hadn't thought about that, for kind of these, excuse me, these, almost smaller right-of-way areas that we know that maybe we can squeeze extra trees in on, so.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that you have to take a very prioritized approach with limited resources, but in my neighborhood, which is the older part of Tumwater Hill, there's a lot of alleyway rights of way that,
Thank you very
for
much.
pragmatic reasons, can never be developed. So just
Exactly.
curious if that would be worth taking a look. Thanks.
Yeah, and that's kind of, for our other projects we're moving forward with, that is something that absolutely we should pay attention to, and I didn't even think about, so that's wonderful, thank you.
And there's a number of those that have been vacated.
Yeah, exactly. I just didn't even, having thought about,
They've been split up,
yeah.
you know, that owner's got that half and another owner's got that half.
All right, so Jim, moving on, you got a list.
Go ahead with the next part of your report.
Oh, no, it's okay. You know, I'd rather address your questions. I was just gonna highlight a few things I was excited about working on. But if you got a lot of questions, so let's move on down the road.
Page 30, according to the notes that were sent to us, protect,
Oh, protect, was that section?
under key highlights.
We're gonna find it, don't worry.
Yeah.
Protect under key highlights? Oh, on the very first page,
Oh, okay,
on
way
actual
back there.
page 30.
Okay. Oh, okay. Enforcement of tree protection codes, improving pruning standards in collaboration with nonprofits and state agencies, are strengthening safeguards for Tumwater's relatively young but growing urban forest. Okay.
Relatively young. It struck me that, as we experienced with the Gary Oak tree, I would hope that we can, in the urban forest management plan, also emphasize our old trees.
To get ahead of you a little bit, I absolutely emphasize our old trees, and I do everything I can to protect what we already have. But they make up a minority, a vast minority. You know, only 15% are even deemed fully mature that, you know, we have cataloged. So, especially for new development and stuff that hint at other things we talked about, I question all trees being removed. Do we have to remove this? Can we put BMPs in place? Can we put 18 inches of mulch and plywood down on the critical root zone instead of removing this tree just to make it more convenient for you to work? You know, can we do lots of other things? I explore vastly other, lots of different options that I possibly can to protect what we already have, because we have to, because it makes up such a small amount. So, I try to double and triple check everything. I go and I walk sites, I drive by and verify for any tree removal permits and everything, just to see, does that tree really have to come down? Can I go talk to the homeowner and be like, and question their motives, or offer alternative solutions that they never even knew existed? So,
We have someone with the passion and expertise to fight for the remaining
Yeah.
trees.
Yeah.
where-
Right, and I would, maybe in the protection element here, there might be a comment or a sentence about that work that you're doing, the emphasis not only in strengthening the safeguards for our relatively young forests, but strengthening safeguards for our mature
Yeah.
trees.
okay.
One of the things that came up, I think, as we were talking about the codes, was encouraging new developments to design their locations of their parks and their water retention areas where there are mature trees, so that those trees could be left in the park or in the water retention areas.
That's a very difficult line to walk, because let's say you have these areas that aren't used to getting a lot of water, and all of a sudden we're flooding them, and then we're killing these mature trees. Or those mature trees would impact stormwater infrastructure. I have a lot of experience dealing with stormwater infrastructure and design and low impact design and green infrastructure design, all these different things. So that's a very difficult line to walk. Parks, yes, absolutely. But marrying stormwater and trees is very difficult to do. And actually, I'm in a lot of conversations with WSU's stormwater management development education program they have up in Puyallup. Fascinating place where they test stormwater runoff and all these different things. And they plant trees in areas that are only fed with runoff to find out what native species are thriving, all these fascinating experiments they're doing, so we can maybe possibly begin to incorporate trees in our stormwater design. But that is a somewhat of a radical idea still, because for the most part, trees will damage stormwater infrastructure and cost HOAs lots and lots, tens of thousands of dollars.
Again, my daily walks in Skyview, where they removed mature cedar and hemlock
Mm-hmm.
and then planted cedar and hemlock.
Plant them
After they removed them.
up around the edges, away from the
Yeah.
liner, all that stuff. So, that's very, very different than maintaining the ones that were there and trying to build around them. For stormwater, that doesn't really happen, and I think that's somewhat irresponsible to do, because then we've killed the tree and we're then handing off a hazard or a tree that's in severe decline to an HOA that then has to deal with it. I had to protect the HOAs from themselves at times, and so that's often the goal.
Okay, thank you. A lot of these related to, again, trying to take advantage of the parks where we have open space for the large canopy native trees, to try to encourage the selection of the planting of those trees in the parks area, both parks, city Tumwater parks and private parks, as we require the building of private parks in development areas.
And I'm working on that actively. Like, some of these properties I'm planting in this winter actually are parks. Tumwater Hill is going to get a bunch of western white pines and Sitka spruce. We are doing that, and that's just going to take time. And again, working with people, reminding them that I exist. I've only been here for 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, so just reminding people I'm around and I'm a resource to help. And I see problems walking through the parks, and I can help the parks department address these things. And really, I don't know how else to phrase it, right? And people are just remembering I'm even around. So.
Another area of your report, you mentioned schools.
Yes, I talk to the school district a lot.
Right. And I'm an advocate of, maybe you know Don Trosper. He's the Trosper of Trosper Road. And he, with Tumwater Middle School, developed a Tumwater history program that went on for 20 years, where I think fourth graders learned the history of Tumwater, got dressed up, planted native trees, did all kinds of stuff. and it incorporated Tumwater history into the curriculum of the public school. I know I was influenced in high school by my biology teacher when he asked us to do a special project, each of us, and my project was to collect tree leaves from my neighborhood. I collected 81 samples, different species of trees in my Midwest neighborhood, which is not unusual in the Midwest. But if we can work with the schools to incorporate native plant or plant education into the curriculum, make it part of their tradition, working with the teachers, as well as their land, where every year the fourth grade or the freshman class plants a tree on their property, and that becomes their, and it's part of the architectural plan, landscape plan of the school. Brown Elementary School up on, it's in Olympia, French Loop Road, has just purchased a lot next door that they're putting into native plants as part of their curriculum. Just like to encourage a tradition in Tumwater that our public school kids get as part of their normal curriculum, education into the plants of Tumwater and participation in Arbor Day and in something on the property that would become part of the culture of the Tumwater Public Schools.
I agree entirely. Education is very important to me. And I've already begun building those relationships. Actually, this summer, I was invited several times, and I went and was a guest speaker at the Newmarket Skills Center for their, what's the name of the program? Do you remember?
Forest and Stream Ecology Program.
Forest and Stream Ecology. I got to go out there several times and speak to the class for several hours, talking about what their community forest can do for them, and really educate them on urban forestry and the benefits of their trees. And we even went down to Pioneer Park and walked through the park and talked about what the trees are doing, how they're interacting with each other, the benefits they're providing, the BMPs they're providing, and all these various things. And this program was very successful and very popular. And I'm already talking with the teachers to grow it and really develop more of this stuff. So the seedlings I got, I'm hopefully going to get a bunch of students out there. I'm talking to the teachers now. It's just tricky.
Yeah.
You don't know when they come,
Right.
and it's difficult. It's going to be on weekend potentially, and so you have to start somewhere. And I've laid the foundation, and hopefully it's only get better, because this is something that's very important to me. I have young children in the area as well, and so it's something that I don't know about making a tradition of and getting the kids all dressed up. At the same time, we are doing that, and that's something that's important to the both of us.
Right.
So.
The other open space area that you mentioned, parking lots and churches,
Mhm.
particularly large churches, often have large areas of land. Mountain View is a good example of, they have native Doug fir there on the corner of Israel and Linderson. I think it's called Linderson at that point.
I think.
Second Avenue on one side and Linderson on the other, anyway. But who do you talk to at churches, to encourage them to plant native species on these large areas of land and preserve the land? So, yeah, it's an opportunity there, another large piece of land in our community where native trees could thrive. I'd like to encourage. But the parking lot issue is something that we've talked in the past, that the difference between Capitol Medical Center parking lot and St. Peter's parking lot. St. Peter's is full of mature trees. It was obviously built that way. Somebody put in that parking lot and preserved the large native trees that were already there. Capitol Medical Center did not. They cleared the area, planted new trees. When I shop at Costco, Walmart, Home Depot, and I usually take my dog, I'm looking for a place with shade. And Costco, those are prime spots. And it's been suggested that on these box stores, we double the tree planting requirements so as to create more shade, which is more inviting for their customers and reduces the heat spots created by these large box store parking lots. I assume that's a code thing.
It's a code thing, but I don't think we could do it based on what kind of business it is. It would be however many parking spaces
Exactly.
would need this many trees within parking islands and so forth.
And we
So it's
do
more
have those
prescriptive than, you're a big store, you have to do more like, you're a store, you apparently need this many parking spaces, this is what you have to follow.
When you design the parking lot, you have to have a few more spots set aside for trees than parking spots. LNI is an example.
Yeah, our current standards are 1 tree island per 10 spaces.
And we double that
And I don't necessarily know, we
to
are
create canopy.
working on enlarging the islands in our updated code, because we want to make sure that the trees that are planted there can become mature and they have the root system to grow and provide full canopy and not just girdle themselves and have, nothing to really provide any kind of shelter. And I think that, to me, is more important, that these trees can reach maturity and have full canopy than necessarily doubling the number, because I'd like to see and make sure, again, that these trees can survive. I'd rather have the quality over quantity in that circumstance. And I don't know if we can necessarily get both and still meet the parking requirements that these big stores or big properties need.
There were some changes recently about parking minimums that happened at the state. I can't speak to it exactly, but I know that there's changes to the required parking.
LNI is a good example. I lived here when it was built. It was undeveloped property. Trees were planted. About 30% of the trees died and have been replanted with different species.
Those ones all probably died too. That parking lot's pretty bad. Those tree islands are very small.
And it would have been a great study, if someone could have said, let's study this parking lot that we're putting in and see what works. So that we can do a better job in the future.
Again, most of that has to do with root volume. A tree to reach maturity in a right-of-way or parking lot setting needs more than 125 square feet of volume for that root structure to grow, for it to sustain itself and have a full, healthy canopy. That's a tricky number to maintain. So, the goal is to make these tree islands bigger, deeper, so we can have a fully developed root system, so that tree won't topple over, won't become hazardous, and we'll see that reflected in the crown. Brody.
Brian, can you clarify for me what the pathway towards a code that requires larger tree islands looks like and how the board can help?
I don't necessarily know if the board can help. I guess Alyssa can answer that, but we're trying right now for the updated design guidelines and code to increase the size of the tree islands. Right now, they're minimum of 8 feet. We're trying to get those increased to 10 feet at the very least.
My understanding that would be the landscape code, which the tree board will be part of the process for amending that. And I spoke with community development this afternoon, and they were actually planning on bringing the draft code to tree board first, and then having a joint meeting with tree board and planning commission for each of these sections of code, so that you all have the first opportunity to suggest any changes.
And Brian, will you be, when we get to that point, Brian, will you be available to kind of participate alongside us to help us identify and work through changes we might see?
I just got through my probation, Brody, so you're stuck with me.
Hopefully, he will not only be there to help you with it, but will hopefully have advocated for it successfully by the time that it comes to you all.
Okay, thank you.
The Israel Little Rock development, Yorkshire? Yorkshire, we're too late, I think, to have any impact on the,
Absolutely.
but Costco, we have time to have impact on the Costco parking lot, in my opinion.
And these are things that every single time a plan comes across my desk for a daycare, for anything, I measure, I ask questions to find out how big these are and if we can make them bigger. You know, that's important to me, is I don't like planting trees that I don't think are gonna do well. That just gets under my skin. So this is something I pay very close attention to for every single tree planted. I measure every single, planting strip, every single tree island, every single bed, everything, just to make sure that we're planting these trees in an environment that they will live past my life. So whether they be a ginkgo, Doug fir, or, you know, a sweet gum, I don't care. I want it to be there forever. So.
Right, thank you. Well, we're most of the way through my list. Planting sites. 20-year expectation, educating the public. Storm response messages. Come water on tap. And the stormwater billings that I get every month by email, I pay automatically. There's often a very short, targeted message that comes with those. I assume the city does that. October, Columbus Day storm, that was before your time. But 2 weeks ago, I assume, 2 weeks ago, we had the typical October windstorm that we get here. And my subdivision, for example, today I spent the afternoon cutting down 8-inch limbs that came off mature Doug fir trees from our cul-de-sacs and our park we have in Foster Place. And as the city sends a message out saying, this is what we're doing about storm response, to the last windstorm we had or the last ice storm we had, I think there are opportunities there to plug you also, to say, you probably got damage to your trees.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be because it was the wrong tree in the wrong spot, and it may have caused traffic problems. It may have come down, on the roads, may have damaged your house. We have people who can help you get the right tree in the right place. I would like to just, maybe it's a one-sentence addition to the annual or biannual storm message that the city sends out, that I would like to encourage you to talk to whoever does that, to say, there are, those are timely messages that I think the public reads. And it may relate to ice storms, it may relate to windstorms, it may relate to drought in August, when people start saying, my water bill's too high, or my tree plants are dying. What can I do about that? And I hope that when we're talking about drought, we're not talking only about trees, because often our trees, particularly our native trees, many of them will survive the droughts. But the native plants, or the smaller forbs and such that the understory may not do so well. So can we do more, take opportunity, to promote what we can do about maintaining a healthy environment, urban forest, when we have these seasonal messages going out from the city? I'd like to encourage that. Okay, the rest relate to the calendar, which we'll address later. Thank you for your patience, everyone.
That's not a problem.
Mike, did you have any feedback on the report?
No, but I mean, I just, on the education thing, we've been working with John Glenn at Tumwater School.
Yep.
And John's been real, we take him out, him just by himself, and then he relates to, DNR, geology, ecology, and at least that there's a group of kids that sign up for this thing. Wasn't it? Yeah, it's in the summer.
It is, yeah. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They get paid.
Yeah.
They get paid to attend.
they get paid to attend
They
that?
get paid to attend and credit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I knew they get credit.
Yeah.
Geez, I didn't know they got paid to be out there.
Yeah.
It's a great program.
But
It is.
it's sort of comical because the girls come out there in the woods with shorts and almost flip-flops. And one thing I told John, I said, God, they should be prepared for the mosquitoes, you know? But anyway,
Blackberries.
it is something that at least we're getting them out. Not a lot of them, but heck, I think there were 15 or,
More than that.
was there?
Yeah, there was 2 classes. Each class had about 20 kids. And I did both classes a few times. I was out there 3 times in total. So it was great, you know, and the kids responded well. So, you know, the goal next summer is just to do more.
Yeah.
So as long as my boss says it's okay.
More meaning you doing more, or more students, or more classes, or?
I have
To be
no idea.
determined.
Yeah,
And I know that
all
they
the
go out
above.
with Mike also. Are they
Yeah.
still going to the McIntosh Family Farm?
Yeah.
Okay, what's
there
our
anything-
time frame? Like what on the agenda? How much?
We have 2 more items, but if you want to highlight some of these, just so people, generally people maybe watching the recording
Okay.
can hear some of the good things as well.
Yeah, let me think, to find quick ones. This one I'm particularly excited about. It's one of the first ones. It's under Objective 1.2, Action C. It talks about an edible forest. We are kind of in the process of just beginning to even talk about it, selecting properties. Oftentimes, the most tricky thing about these is finding an area that has irrigation. Watering any type of edible forest is most expensive, difficult thing to maintain. But we're identifying locations, and hopefully next year we'll get maybe even draft the scope of work and kind of begin figuring all this kind of stuff out. I'm particularly excited about that. I really like the idea of edible forests and planting native apple, cherry, pear, native trees that produce, you know, fruits. So that's something I'm particularly very excited about, that I wanted to kind of highlight, that we are beginning to explore options, talking with the Parks Department, talking with all these other departments that have properties throughout town, and try and figure out, narrow the list down to areas that are actually reasonable to even explore, writing scope of work.
Comment on that, Brian. Have you talked to the tribes about this?
No, I haven't. You're the first person I've talked to about this other than Alyssa, so.
Okay. And I think the tribe's definition of edible may be different than my definition of edible.
Yeah.
So, and I'm again thinking of oaks. Oaks are edible to the tribes
Yeah,
and to 360 species of insects and
exactly.
squirrels and everything else, you know. I think there's an opportunity there to educate and include the non-human consumers of our trees in this program, and say, you know, this, you may not think this is edible, but it is.
Mhm.
And it's an integral part of our environment, food chain, for example. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
We will get to a little bit later some forage access in the work plan.
Mhm.
We will be working with tribes on native plant forage access. But I just want to note that oak acorns and whatnot are edible to all people and all those other species as well. It's just not a cultural practice for many.
Another one I just wanted to highlight under management, Action C, really any of the ones that are management. I've been making lots and lots of progress. I'm out with different crews from different departments constantly. In Tumwater, wastewater is responsible for wastewater trees. Streets is responsible for street trees. Water is responsible for water site trees. Parks are responsible for parks trees. They all have different standards, and we're working on trying to make them all the same and getting everybody trained and educated, doing things. And we've made a lot of progress. Everybody's been very good. Everybody's anxious to learn the stuff, and it's going very well. And I just wanted to kind of highlight that we're asking questions that not many people have asked before, and we're introducing standards that nobody knew really even existed, and it's going very well. So.
and the utilities.
Mm.
Your power comes in and tops your trees.
There's not a whole lot I can do about that. Yeah, we have a lot of power lines at Tumwater. So, but as far as our city maintained trees on our properties, we're working very hard to creating a more unified standard, and it's going very well. People are asking a lot of great questions. They're working really hard, and they want to do the right thing.
Well, it hasn't helped that the power companies, you know, they're not around here.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
They closed their offices. I didn't even know that. I was so mad, so I went over there to their office. You can't even find anybody. It's closed. You gotta spend a lot of time before you get somebody.
Another thing I wanted to kind of highlight on here, it's under objective 6.3, action E. Talks about working with homeowners associations. They are responsible for a vast majority of the urban forest, right? Most of our street trees are in neighborhoods, not city maintained. That takes up a lot of my time. We have, like I said, 108 HOAs. These HOAs all have hundreds, if not thousands, of trees. So that's something that is important to me, to educate these HOA boards, presidents, anybody and everybody, that how to maintain their trees, what those trees provide for them, put them in a position for them to succeed. We were talking about potential education outreach materials we're developing, all kinds of things to really kind of, again, set someone up for success. You know, if people don't know how to maintain what they have, it's not their fault. It's our job just to help them understand what they need. So, in a nutshell, those are kind of the remaining actions that I just wanted to kind of highlight to give updates on what we're currently working on, which is a lot. You know, it's just Alyssa and I, and, you know, we have a lot of stuff on our plate, but
Yeah,
my goodness, look at us. We're here, and we're doing it, so.
appreciate it.
And we're glad you're here,
Yeah.
both of you. I mean, when you think 5 years ago, before Alyssa came, it was very different.
We're trying.
Yeah.
Great job.
Do we have any questions from any of our viewers?
Panelists?
I actually have a question. Or actually, it's more of like a statement, although this question's kind of embedded in it. I was looking for grant opportunities for my own work, and I came across one that involves basically an organization that has millions of dollars helping public entities to purchase land for community forest programs. I was wanting to make sure that you guys were aware of it. From the Coast Salmon
anything our
Partnership, the Community Forest Program. If that one rings any bell for you guys, I can send you the link real quick.
not. Please do.
Yeah.
We
I
might
think the
not have
intent being
chat
to,
enabled.
we don't have a chat option here, so I have to email it to you.
Please do.
Please do.
Yeah, never hesitate to send us things like that. You know, it's just the two of us. We need all the help we can get.
We accept resources.
It looks pretty interesting to me. Basically, I think the intent is to purchase land under this grant, but you can use it for trails, for parks, for habitat restoration, anything like that. So if we can find some suitable properties in the area, that would be great.
Yes, and we did just, the city did just purchase some property, one of the old brewery properties, that lot had owned previously. I think the sale just went through a few weeks ago.
Mhm.
It's where, folks park for Brewfest currently. And I know that part of that project, a lot of different departments are involved, but our department, Water Resources and Sustainability, will be working on restoring a 150-foot buffer, on one side of the Deschutes River on that property, where it's currently like partially asphalt. So that is some property that we recently bought to reforest, to create a riparian buffer, as an example, but we can always do more.
Thanks, Charles.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What was the next thing was the draft 2026 Sustainability Division Work Plan?
Yeah, and I made a little PowerPoint for y'all. All right. So Brian kept saying that it's just him and I, but I'm happy to share that in January we will have a Civic Spark Fellow in addition to us. So this is, we're working hard, Jim, okay?
I mean, what is that?
Civic Spark is a program of AmeriCorps. So we will have a full-time, entry-level person for 8 months, which is better than nothing. I'm really excited to have their help. From January to September, we will have an additional full-time person helping the sustainability division, which includes. So right now, we currently have myself, Brian, and then we'll have the Civic Spark Fellow in 2026. So the work plan has columns for each of our times. So just letting you all know what a Civic Spark Fellow is. We work not in a vacuum. We have to work with a lot of different departments that have different authority or interest on projects that either Brian or I would be working on and that are in the work plan here. So just want to note that everything that's in the work plan, we've gone through and vetted this, that it's okay for us to work on this, and that some of these departments will have some time to kind of give and take or review things to make sure that it's not just Brian or I making the only decisions if it impacts other departments. So just have some of those on the screen here. We work with the executive department, parks and recreations, communications, community development, fire department, and transportation engineering. Those are the ones that are listed on our work plan for next year. There often are others. And then there's outside agencies, nonprofits, all sorts of, we work in a web.
I mean, school districts.
In the school district, yes, there's a lot. So noting that.
The executive department is which?
That's the city administrator and the mayor.
Oh, okay, two.
And we're going to have a new mayor,
We will have a new mayor,
and
your neighbor.
my neighbor that I talk to regularly. And do you anticipate that there will be a change in your work or our work as a result of the change in administration?
It could be. I know that you all are the first to see our draft work plan. After you all, it'll go to Public Works Committee, and I have placed the work plan for city approval on the same night as the inauguration for the new mayor and the new council person. There's an additional one or two, new one. So they will have the opportunity at that time, if they want to change things, to change it then or between now and then. This is flexible. You all are the first outside of staff to be seeing this, and community development does follow the similar process as well. They bring it to planning commission, then to their general government, and then to city council to adopt or approve that we can work on these things. So yes, there may be changes. I tried to anticipate any changes that might be suggested. So some work plan basics. So on here, our hours per full-time employee total 1,800. Yes, there are more than that in a working year, but I hope that Brian and I get to take holidays and sick time when we need it, and annual leave and vacation. So this accounts for that, so that we're not over committing ourselves to more hours than we might actually be able to work with a work-life balance. So this is 1,800. Oh, Brody.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Alyssa, but just to check my understanding, I guess. The board really doesn't have a role in your division work plan other than you're informing us as an FYI and soliciting feedback that you aren't really required to. Is that correct?
We are not required to, but it doesn't hurt to ask you to get your expertise on the urban forestry aspect of it. And this hasn't gone to anybody else yet, so if there are suggestions, for instance, I think it was in Planning Commission that they suggested that an item that was a below the line, which I'll talk to you about that here shortly, be placed above the line, and there was a strong suggestion to do that. Council also suggested that, so then staff made that change as an example. But you're right, the tree board does not direct staff in any way. But I have, in all the years past, brought forward the work plan associated with the urban forestry management plan update to show you what has been done and what is to come related to the work. So I appreciate insight,
Okay.
but you aren't my boss. And I mean that.
Okay, thank you. I was just trying to understand our role here. I appreciate the clarification.
Question, the flip side of that, as I asked Charles a little bit about his expertise, and he shared that he has quite a bit of background in noxious weeds. which is wonderful. And each of us on the tree board have expertise, background, and we're not in your work plan because we're not your staff, but we could be. And I'm wondering, for example, if Charles had the time and wanted to, could he be of assistance to the two of you on the noxious weed issues? Of course, Mike does a lot already for the city in doing tree assessments and for the development stuff. And I'm wondering if we can be of more help to you with the background and training we have to help you accomplish
Yes,
your work plan.
yes,
And that's not something that, I mean, you asked us to help on the inventory, and we did. And we, of course, help on the Arbor Day. But one of the things that I'm have been interested in from day one is the expertise that the tree board members have that they can offer to the city on a voluntary basis to make your life easier, make your work easier, and make Tumwater a better place to live.
While you all don't direct staff time or staff priorities, you certainly can assist staff in projects that we are laid out here, or if there's some that are below the line that you think you could help us get a running start on, and if we do have time to then take that and kind of relay race it, that's always helpful as well. We can't always promise that something that you work on is something that we can also match that energy for, but any and all help is welcome.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you.
So I went over the 1,800 hours. Any work plan items that are scheduled for 2026 in terms of adopted plan that says this should happen in 2026, but aren't on here because we just simply don't have enough people and hours to do it. Those are below the line projects, which is in the bottom of the work plan. If tree board wants to assist with any of those, by all means, that's the stuff that we simply don't have the time to get to at this time, but maybe things get reorganized later and we can. And this is, the work plan this year is taking a more kind of official approach than it has in the past because of the way that the comprehensive plan was written. All of the specific implementation actions were included in each element as draft implementation actions until they become kind of legitimized in a city council adopted work plan. So they go from good idea to yes, we're doing that once they get placed on a plan, a work plan that is adopted by city council. So some of the items on the urban forest work plan aspect are here on the screen. Didn't feel like putting the Excel in here for everybody, so they're in little boxes. The tree board is on here, but that's the time that we spend to prepare for your meetings and do your meeting minutes and make sure everything's up to public records and whatnot. The tree code amendments are on there. Community development is going to be spearheading that, and both Brian and I will be involved, as well as the tree board. For the tree and vegetation protection, landscaping and street tree code, Brian's taking on Tree City USA. Arbor Day is a constant tree inventory, tree assessments. Most of these are what Brian is working on: development review, code enforcement, invasive pest management. That's related to potential emerald ash borer or Mediterranean oak borer, tree planting and distribution, tribal forage access, general administration. We do have to check email, and that does take some time. Takes a tremendous amount of time sometimes. Community outreach and professional development. So the more detailed stuff is in the packet as to how many hours we're allocating and more description or comments about any of those particular actions. But any questions on this one so far?
My understanding is that this new person is not in this plan.
They are, but not necessarily in urban forestry. They're filling another hole that we have in the work that our division has been tasked with.
So where is the support clerical staff for this work?
We do have an administrative assistant for our department. She helps route legal documents.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. She does a tremendous amount of work. But a lot of the administrative work we kind of do ourselves. There are certain things she has to work for the entire department. So
it just seems that as I quickly read some of these things, there's some work that the two of you have to do that is non-decision making. It's maintenance,
Mhm.
it's clerical.
Yep.
That you need a clerical person. That would eliminate the record keeping and the updating and all of that stuff. That there's, unless this new person can do it, which I doubt that they can because they don't have the background or history. By the time you teach them how to do it, they're gonna be gone. And it just seems that and we've talked about the necessity of maintaining the inventory, for example, and keeping track of which tree, what species and age of trees have been removed by the city. That's not decision-making stuff. That's just clerical stuff that somebody needs to be doing in order for us to have a record of the history of what's going on, so we can learn and analyze and do a better job.
There are still thousands of trees in our inventory that are marked as unassigned, that we know there's a tree, but we don't know what kind of tree. That still requires expertise like what Brian has.
Yeah.
I could go to those trees, and I've tried really hard to learn a lot of trees here, and I could still get it absolutely wrong.
And some of us perhaps might, and I could do this sort of thing, but anyway.
Yes, and we plan
Right.
on having some interns for it too, but we can definitely tap, tree board members to be of help for that as well.
But I just, I would like to advocate with the mayor or whomever for you people to have more clerical support.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Feel free to find those items in the work plan and give that as a specific recommendation.
Well, we've talked about, for example, the inventory, that in some cases are not even it's not even a process the city has where tree is planted, a record is filed, it gets put into the inventory by a clerk. Doesn't have to be done by you, shouldn't be done by you. But there isn't even a process to do that, I guess. Paperwork.
Yeah, so, yes and no. We are updating all the processes. A lot of the existing inventory needs to be updated. The inventories need to be updated every 8 years. I noticed a lot of the last inventory has a lot of glaring holes and a lot of other stuff that wasn't recorded. For example, there's no ability for us to determine who the tree belongs to. So little things like that. So we are in the process of updating the inventory. It's gonna take a lot of time. But right now I am recording and going out and, ground truthing or physically verifying, yes, there's a tree here. There are trees between these two places. This is how many there are, and this is the species. So then next year we can go out and actually begin to physically update and get GIS and fill out all the boxes of who owns this tree, how big is the DSH, how tall is it, has this tree been hit by a car, when was the last time it was pruned? All these different things we're gonna start tracking. First, we have to understand what is even ours to begin with and how many there are, so we know where our limitations. And then once we get that done, we can expand and go into HOAs, we can go into parking lots, we can go into all these other places. But that does require a lot of education, a lot of tact, and a lot of ability, because we want to do it right the first time.
Sure.
So,
And I'm not talking about identifying the work, I'm talking about
yeah.
sitting here and pushing the buttons on the computer that enters that information that should not be done by the two of you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, if it can't be done by voice, ideally, then, or it can't be done in the field on a machine that will automatically put that information in, then there should be a clerk.
We're developing that now. Hopefully, Alyssa mentioned earlier, we're gonna get a couple interns this summer for stuff like that. So we've identified stuff that it's gonna take up a lot of time, but still, even with interns, it's still gonna take up a lot of time. That's an enormous project.
Thankfully, DNR has offered to train the interns for us for inventory work.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions about this one before I briefly go through the other two, because I know this one's the most interesting to this board?
Related, I guess, one more thing. Drive-alongs. The police let citizens ride in the car with them once in a while to see what's going on. I used to do that. I was on the board for Morningside. We would go out with caseworkers and see what they did.
I worked at Morningside once upon a time.
Great. I was on the board. I would encourage you to think about inviting a board member to ride along with you on an appropriate day, once or twice a year. You know, I think I would learn a lot if I could spend a day with you on a day when I would not be in your way.
Already done it with Mike and with Brent.
And
Sure, been around
and
for a little.
Brody and I have met, like, that's not an issue for us to schedule. You know, well, you have my contact information, we can figure these things out. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And just for the public who might be watching this recording, City of Tumwater does not, City of Tumwater Police does not do ride-alongs. I learned that recently. But we will do tree ride-alongs for tree board members. Some brief stuff on the sustainability manager work plan. Now that we have an expert working on trees,
Thank you.
passed to Brian. I'm still here to be involved in the tree-related code updates and with the tree board, but I have a lot of other stuff that I work on related to vehicle miles traveled gap analysis, home energy score model ordinance, energized person, which is a heat pump group purchase campaign. We're doing a vulnerability assessment of all city assets for climate change. We're updating development code. We're going to look at the climate element to see how many people and how much money it would actually take to do all the things on the time schedule that we've allocated. Working with tribes for tribal resource exposure and tribal forage access. Hopefully we can get about $3 million in grants that we just submitted a proposal for last week for solar and battery storage for our main fire station and our library. General administration, I'm the chair of the Green Business Committee for Thurston County Chamber of Commerce. I'm the employee transportation coordinator for the city. I now supervise Brian, soon also the Civic Spark and
Not easy.
work. And I do the community outreach and professional development. We both have a couple hours allocated to professional development. But the Civic Spark, their main focus is helping us build capacity. That's the purpose of AmeriCorps programs, is to build capacity. So they will be helping fill some gaps in our recently adopted food systems plan, where we don't really have a lot of staff to help with that, as well as some gaps that we have in emergency management, where we haven't been able to muster up staffing for that, kind of where emergency management and climate change resilience or adaptation overlap. They will be working in that space, helping us kind of start that program for resilience, as well as filling a little bit of the gap for the food equity partnerships or the food systems plan. They have mandated certain hours of professional development through the AmeriCorps program, and they have a couple of different requirements that are also through the AmeriCorps program, volunteering at places that aren't City of Tumwater. So that'll be their main focus for their 8-month term of service. We have a lot of below the line projects, so that's on starts on page 62 of the packet. A lot of stuff, and I'll note actually before I get there, Brian has 100 hours yet to be determined, and I have 40 hours yet to be determined, so we don't know what those will be, but I'm sure we'll be using them for something.
In a year.
We are trying to get a lot done.
Yeah. There's a lot to do.
And for Brian and I, respectively, we have about 2/3 of a full-time each allocated to the other items that we should be getting done in 2026, but we simply cannot. Those are the below-the-line projects. This is stuff in the climate element or the urban forestry management plan that was said this should start in 2026, but we can't do all of it. Ideally, if something falls off the list above, this will come in and fill that spot, depending on what hours are available. If there's any particular items on the below-the-line projects that Tree Board would like to be helpful for, think about it and let us know. So yeah, we have a lot, and I know wood recycling program is it's listed as a below-the-line, but it's also kind of a little bit incorporated into the Emerald Ash Borer response a little bit.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's some overlap, but lots to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I will stop sharing. That is, you all are the first people to see our work plan outside of Brian and I working on it. And I'm seeing an email from Tanya. Tanya has asked, how do HOAs get Brian to speak to trees at their meetings? How much time in advance would he need?
as much time as possible, and you just have to ask me. I've done it already a handful of times, and I'm happy to do it. You know, if you ask me to come the night before, I probably won't be able to make it. I have a family, but I would ask, you know, at least a week or two in advance. If I can't make it, know that that's not that I don't want to come. It's just, you know, like I said, I have a family, I have other obligations, so maybe give me a few different options would be ideal.
Any additional questions, comments, suggestions, recommendations for our draft work plan?
A lot of work.
Yes.
There's a lot to do for this planet and
Yeah.
community.
Hey, Tanya, can you raise your hand? Let me know that you heard that. I don't know if I have to repeat everything. Oh, you did. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
On to the next.
Next.
next meeting dates on the,
Oh, one more. 10.
Calendar.
We got the calendar.
10.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, the draft.
So, because I don't know when community development is going to need you yet, I have left these mostly open. Of course, there's a topic of conversation. I believe it was Brody at a previous meeting suggested that we have the every other month schedule to be revisited and discussed in January. This is assuming that the every other month schedule persists. Feel free to discuss that now, discuss that in January, but know that there will be placements probably towards the latter half of the year regarding those tree codes and discussion.
In the past, annually, we've met with department heads.
Yep, they were invited.
They're not on the agenda, they're not on the calendar.
They were invited tonight.
Okay. Should we put them on the calendar for next year?
For the November meeting, that's generally the expectation that they come at the meeting where we talk about the implementation.
Okay.
No one showed up tonight.
One of the agenda items we've had in the past, I think it's in, now that we're doing every other month, is the elections, the board members. I think that our terms end in March or April, so that should be on the calendar just to remind us that we need to do our annual election.
And I know Tanya has been wanting to talk about website resources. We can add that as a future discussion.
Great.
Would January be an acceptable month for that?
What was that?
Website resources,
The tree board website.
the tree website.
Oh, the website.
Mhm. Brody, Charles, any recommendations or suggestions for additions to the rather sparse meeting schedule?
You're muted, Charles.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I don't think I know enough yet to make suggestions, but I will try and keep that in mind. We go forward. Trying to find it in the packet right
Brody.
now. There it is.
Brody's got his hand up as well.
Go ahead, Brody.
Okay, thank you. If we will be discussing the website improvements in January, Alyssa, would you be able to bring some site visitation data for us to consider on that? I don't want us to pour a whole lot of time into it if it turns out that it's a incredibly low volume site.
It's an incredibly high volume site.
But yes, I can bring you some
Wow.
metrics.
Compared to,
I just made that up. Sorry, Brody.
I know,
I just made that up, so.
We all visited it. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course.
I'm wondering if it's appropriate to invite the mayor to
I was just
meet
gonna
with us,
say,
the new mayor, whoever it is. When the,
You know who the new mayor will be.
well, not
This will be
official.
6 days into her,
I know, I mean, maybe in
somewhere in-
May,
okay, yes.
or,
I can-
you know, sometime in the year.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're not her first priority, or his or her, whoever is the new mayor. But,
You know who won, Jim, stop.
it's not official for
Oh,
another
okay.
month, right?
Okay.
So, I'm wondering if, yeah, it's just an opportunity to invite them if they would like to. We would,
they don't have to stay for the whole meeting.
sure. They don't have to come if they, I mean,
Yeah.
aren't interested.
I can
We-
put out
I think
the-
Giving them an invitation.
Request, and I know that that happened with our current mayor as well,
Yeah.
at the beginning of her term. Yes.
I'm assuming, last several years, our annual tour has not been very successful. So, I assume we're taking that off the agenda, but I found value in, a couple of the tours that I attended. I think the ride-alongs might be more valuable. But if there are, sites, or projects that you think the board would benefit from physically visiting, I would welcome the opportunity to learn more about the process and the way that the tree board, for example, the codes we're kind of working on. Some of you know a lot about this stuff, I don't. Although we've looked at the words and we've gone over them many, many times, to be actually go out to a site and say, this is how this code would affect this site, would help me understand the options, and the impact of, the proposed code revisions. So, and that might be outside of meetings. And maybe, you know, kind of like this ride-along, if you have a meeting already scheduled talking about a site or the impact of the code revision on a site, and it would be appropriate for one or two of us to join you as listeners, I would welcome the invitation to join you to learn more about this.
Are the DRC meetings open to the public?
No.
Okay.
So, the hearing examiner ones, I believe, are eventually,
Then
so,
there's trouble.
yeah. That might be difficult, but, you know, we can definitely discuss this more, absolutely.
Great. I mentioned, and I think there was a reference, interacting with the tribes, and Alyssa had explained that she can't ask the tribes to come and talk to the tree board about how they value trees and how they set them aside. She has to go through the mayor, and the mayor has to go to the tribal chief. And
There's
all that.
an appropriate channel, yes.
Yeah, and I would welcome the opportunity to learn more about their perspective and how that should influence the tree board and the codes and laws and that stuff.
I will be going through that formal process to work on 2 actions in the work plan, the tribal forage access and exposure analysis. And then I think there's 1 additional, or 2 in the below the line that are related to coordination with tribes. As I work on those, as I get to work on those and go through those channels, I'll definitely pose the question.
Thank you. That's, I think, all my comments on the calendar.
Okay,
We'll check.
so the next meeting date is the 12th of January, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I guess we should just put these on our calendars now.
Yes, I recommend putting the meeting dates on your calendars, and we'll have more formal information about what will be discussed. I I'd say I recommend that tree board members do some homework for the January 12th meeting. I will come, hopefully in the packet, have some of that website statistics that Brody suggested, but also something to help guide your discussion of tree website content. So I've emailed, I think, with Jim about this, but for everybody's awareness, the city has a policy that we will not post information from .com websites unless we have a contract with that particular company. We prefer to share information that is available on .gov, .edu, and certain .org websites. So if you're finding material that you want us, links you want us to put on the city website that are coming from a private grower that we don't have a contract with, that's going to be a no-go. So keep looking, see if you can find it from a government, educational, or organizational website. We want to put good resources on the city's website. They will go through a vetting process through our communications team, but just think of that as an initial filter for the information that you bring, that you want to suggest in terms of resources to put on the city website, .ed, .edu, .gov, .org.
So the January 12th meeting is going to be a deep dive on the website and trying to workshop that.
Sounds like it. I know Tanya specifically has been asking for a long time, and many other tree board members, so your dreams do come true sometimes. You get a long meeting to discuss a single webpage. So yeah, think of, take a look at the, I can send out an email and send you the direct links to the websites that I think that we'll be looking at, which would be the city tree website mostly, which is on our department's page, and sure, we can look at the tree board website as well. I think that one's kind of locked down. The tree board website webpage might be a little locked down because they're trying to keep all the advisory boards with the same information, but I'll do some research and ask some folks if there is flexibility on that. Just waiting for me to write stuff down.
I guess.
Are there any other,
I don't
no
think,
other items on the agenda?
no other items on the agenda. So,
I move we adjourn.
okay, been moved
Second.
and seconded, we adjourn, so meeting of, November the 10th.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks all.
Tanya has her hand out. I don't see an email.
I should saying, hopefully you're saying goodbye, Tanya.
I don't see an email. Bye, Tanya.
She's gone. Have a good night, guys.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
welcome to the tree board.